Hey guys, today new video, new tier list. We are on the third week of TOGC, to be honest, or Trial of the Crusader, Grand Crusader. To be honest, the week is already done. Why? Because, you know, the rating is mostly done on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then maybe Sundays, the last big day. So that's why I think we can make a tier list again. About all these things. Here is the data from Warcraft logs that we have, and here I have the tier list, and also here I have the video from last week that we can talk a little bit what changed, what not. First of all, not a lot of changes for sure, because we are only 2 weeks into the tier. I think now that maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks are a little bit more interesting, because people are definitely having their 4-set piece and stuff like this, or in general more items. So but yeah, let's start it. We still have a few I don't consider Gladiator Warrior even, because it's also not here. Apart from this, we start with the, let me say, the specs. That there's no reason that you bring them to the raid now. Frost Mage makes no sense, Sub-Rogue makes no sense, and it seems like also Beastmaster Hunter makes no sense. Also, these classes have much better specs at all, so no big reason to bring them. And these are the F tier. To be honest, don't raid with them. The next 3 of them, or maybe we will change things here in the tier list and later on when we see how we put the specs together, but we also have some very positive news about some specs. Marksman, Arms Warrior and WotLK, really I also would say there's no reason to bring them, but you already can bring them if you really want. Some of them bring buffs that maybe if you don't have another class that would make sense. Arms Warrior if you have no Combat Warrior. I think they have kind of a heal reduce, the Marksman Hunter if I'm not wrong. And WotLK, you know, the flexibility that he can maybe off tank on, that he can tank on some fights, and then on some other fights he can do damage. And then a very big B tier that shows that the game at the moment is very balanced. Because if you, to be honest, you could just say now from Arcane Mage to Feral Druid, it's all the next tier, because the changes are so small from each step that it's hard to say where's the gap. But for sure we will bring a gap. So let's see where we put this. We start with Arcane Mage, as you can see here. Arcane Mage, the last one on this list. If the shorts are getting, if the fights are getting more and more short, this will getting better. I think I would say the same about Balanced Druid. I barely saw Destruction Warlock, so I'm not sure if this could be the same for them. And then we have Shadow Priests, Demo Warlock, like always in the middle of the pack, or maybe even more on the top on the middle of the pack. Survival Hunters and Enhancement Shaman. This is my B tier. As you can see here, there is a little gap between Enhancement Shaman and Elemental Shaman, so that is the B tier. But also I have to say these specs are already pretty good. If you look into this list, then I'm pretty sure that you find here a few specs that you always have in your raid group, and even if you have 2 of them, make not that much sense, to be honest. You have 2 Demo Warlocks, but 1 is definitely mandatory. Survival Hunter, usually you always have minimum 1 or even 2. Enhancement Shaman, you can have 1 or 2, is pretty good. Arcane Mage, we have a much better mage spec, but why not having an Arcane Mage? And I would say definitely the same about Balanced Druid, because also, you know, the hit buff and stuff like this. Let us super quick look into this here. As you can see here, it's kind of the same like it was before. I had here the much bigger F tier here in this list, and now I made the change a little bit more in a positive way for most specs, putting them up. That means, for example, Arcane Mage and Survival Hunter are now B tier. because in this list they were a little bit negative because we had the swap from S tier to S plus to S with only one spec into the S tier, and this week I will make it a little bit different, as you will see. So let's continue. Then we have pretty clear Elemental Shaman into the A tier, and then let me say the very positive thing, Fury Warriors and Retribution Paladins, they're doing pretty well. Yeah, they're doing pretty well. There's no doubt anymore that especially in this phase they are very good DPS specs. Fury Warrior will pretty surely continue with this into ICC because that was already predicted. They have a nice scaling, they get better and better. The fights are also a little bit more benefiting their playstyle with a little bit more cleave and stuff like this. That is also what benefits the Retribution Paladin that much at the moment. I don't think that Retribution Paladin will go into S or S plus tier in ICC. Maybe it will stay A tier or fall back into B tier, but we can now finally say Retribution Paladin is a good, decent DPS spec. Even now, right now, exactly at that moment, a little bit better than Fury Warrior, but like I said, Fury Warrior will continue to rise as more gear they get. And yeah, as you can see already here, they are now on the A tier. I keep the A tier like this to, as you can see, as you will see now, how we progress through the list. And then we have Combat Rogue and Assassination Rogue, like kind of exactly in the same spot, to be honest. And we have then WotLK and Feral Druid. Feral Druid, awesome. They are doing definitely great. When you see here the list, they were here behind WotLK and Combat Warrior and then Combat Rogue and Assassination Rogue. Now they are ahead of them, so definitely they're doing better and better. Rogues, they were keeping the same. Like last time we talked about, it was in the first week. So yeah, that's it. They are all pretty good. You can even start to stack those specs if you want. For sure, it makes more sense to stack the S plus specs that we're coming now to, but S tiers already. If you have good players, if you have 3 or 4 strong rogues, there is no reason to not bring them into the raid. Especially because Combat Rogue with the debuff that usually only brings the Arms Warrior, so you prefer the Combat Rogue, and then maybe two Assassination Rogues or something like this. Same is for Feral Druid, WotLK or whatever. So yeah. Now we come to the S plus tier. It starts with Mage, and then and then we have Affliction Warlock and Unholy DK. So this is how the list is looking right now. The gap was much more big, as you can see here. There was a gap between Unholy DK and Warlock, and then another big gap to Fire Mage. This gap is now kind of nearly closed. That's why I prefer now to put all 3 of them into the S plus tier. And I also think that it's a little bit better visually to show that we have maybe the F and C tier, which are meh, but C tier is already okay. If you have a very good player, if you have a very dedicated player to this class, if you have maybe someone that can also here swap some things like tank in a fight or whatever, good. And then we start here on the B tier, which are already all very nice rating specs, and then is just the difference of damage overall that is dividing an S tier spec from a B tier spec. For sure, you can also change here. This is damage overall, damage to bosses. It looks even a little bit different. Here's Fire Mage, a super small step ahead to Affliction from Unholy DK, and so on and so on. Here would be Assassination Rogue, even a little bit step ahead to Feral Druid. So I'm not sure exactly what is counting, because you know we only have boss fights in TOGC, so I'm not sure exactly what is counting as boss fight and what not. I would have to find it out, but it's not that important. So damage is here, I would say, the important part. And yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the list. So positive news, and if we see that a little bit from last time, positive news is definitely Feral Druid made some steps. Fire Mage closed the gap to the best specs in the game, and also Fury Warrior and Retribution Paladin, they are saving their spot, especially on Fury Warrior, I believe, also with good upside, getting higher and higher into this tier, and then in ICC definitely breaking S tier, and then we will see how it is later on. Apart from that, not a lot of changes. Blood Decay, definitely not that good DPS that some people predicted, and I would say that's it for today, guys. That is for this week, so we will look into it this maybe in another week, maybe in 2 weeks, I'm not sure. And have fun, good luck, good loot, bye bye.